up, YouTube? It's your girl Rachel. Welcome to my channel. First off, nail check. So I have been posting on social media for a while now, mostly just short form content on Instagram and TikTok, and I've honestly been having so much fun. It's really been an insane kind of like creative outlet for me to be so artsy and like put myself out there posting stuff. So I was having this feeling that I wanted to try creating content such as here on YouTube where I'm speaking, and I was really wanting to do that because I was wanting to try and create a bigger, deeper, more meaningful connection with people on the other side of the screen. I think I'm just feeling like I really want to kind of just put myself out there even more than I have before and see, honestly, ultimately, number one, just if it could be fun. Because like I said, I've been having literally so much fun posting the content that I have on Instagram and TikTok. So I just really wanted to try something new and see what it could be like if I, came over here to YouTube. So the question then comes, okay, so I'm having this feeling that I want to, talk, but like, what do I want to talk about? What is even important to talk about? And ultimately, it really comes down to like, what can I share that can be helpful to others, that can relate to others, that can resonate with others, or just honestly create any type of feeling that brings positivity or joy into somebody else's life. I think that's really like the real reason probably why anyone creates content, right? They're having fun doing whatever they're doing in their content, and them sharing that with others is sharing the fun, sharing the positive energy, sharing the love. So I honestly, in general, I'm a very, very, very emotionally deep person. I talk about my emotions a lot. I talk about how I feel a lot. And I'm also someone that really, really, really tries to get other people to talk about their feelings more and open up more. And in general, not just so much about being transparent, but being transparent at the right times that can just be beneficial or create a better space for your energy as well as other people's energy. Something that I feel is a really important thing that I think people should be talking about more is mindset. Just in general, mindset. The mindset that you have, how that mindset evolves over time, how that mindset changes through different circumstances in your life. And how really you can master your mindset or have control over your mindset, or even just have the slightest bit of influence on your mindset. Because I know that for some people that can be really, really hard to tackle your thoughts or process your thoughts in a way that make you feel good. I think a lot of times people process their thoughts in a way that make them feel bad. And I think that that's something that everyone experiences, and everyone has been through different experiences in their life that have put them into that bad mindset. And so I think something that can be really important for people to just be talking about more in general in life is different things that people do to get out of their negative mindsets. And that's gonna look different for everybody because everyone lives a different life. Everyone looks at life differently. And actually I just realized, maybe I should back it up and clarify. What is mindset? Mindset is the way that you think about things. So you can have two different people going through the exact same experience, but they could feel entirely different things based off of their mindset. So it's more of like kind of like a concept of like, let's say something bad happens to you in your life. Well, the same bad thing could happen to two different people, but if one person processes those feelings in a way that make them feel better, that ultimately, in a sense, it's just like looking at the bright side or like bringing a positive perspective can honestly make the world of difference. We're gonna dive into talking more specifically on specific instances, like how did you change the way you were thinking about something, the way you were viewing a situation to realize, oh, actually, it's not that bad in this way. Or even though it is this bad in this way, me knowing that I have literally no control over it can actually, like being in that place of realizing that you can't control the thing that is bad, that's not gonna change, that in itself can change your perspective, because people can get really, really, really wrapped up in, oh, this is so bad and it's never going to change. And then you just kind of like spiral into this negative mindset of just being like, well, it's so negative, it's never going to change, nothing's ever going to be different, so that's just the way it is. And then you're just unhappy every day, you know? But really, even though whatever that thing could possibly not change, like, you can change your mindset and ultimately just not be as upset or not have as much anxiety or as much worry about whatever that thing is. So with that being said, I want to dive into something like more specific about mindset. So not just overall concept of mindset, but I'm thinking more along the lines of, you know, creating different videos where I'm talking about how to have a more positive mindset, how to shift your mindset about different topics. And also, I will say in general, I don't want to like limit myself in any way. I don't want to say like, oh, this is like the only thing I'm going to talk about or the only thing I want to create videos about. But this is just something that I was feeling like called to talk about right now. And so I just want to kind of like explore that and see where it goes. So, but in general, with, you know, with regards to whatever other potential videos I might create, like it could go anywhere. We'll see, you know. All right. So one thing that in general, I think that a lot of people can have trouble having a positive mindset towards is the future. Now, the future, obviously, that's a very general, broad term, and that can mean a lot of different things. It can mean your future or just the future in general. But I think that there are definitely so many different ways that people can have worry, people can have anxiety about the future, just anything that's about to happen or could potentially happen, but hasn't happened yet. So some common, I think, popular negative beliefs surrounding how people view the future is really coming from, I think, a perspective of feeling like you just won't achieve your desired outcome. Whatever you want to happen in the future, you have fear that that won't happen. I think also that feeling can be broken down into kind of two separate categories. I'd say one is more of a fear about things that could happen that are bad. And I think another thing, another general concept of how people can have negative views towards the future is specifically with regards to their future and a sense or a feeling of not feeling like you might not unlock your full potential on this earth. Like whatever your purpose is, whatever you're meant here to be, like worrying that you won't live up to that, worrying that you won't have the opportunities to fully experience all that, fully experience everything that you're capable of. So we can dive a little bit deeper into these two main concepts. Talking about the first one, worrying about potential bad experiences that could happen or that you know are going to happen. Thinking about the feeling of having worry about potential bad experiences, this for me has happened in, I don't know, it's really, really random, honestly, the things that I can think back of and remember that I just remember having so much like fear or nerves or anxiety about whatever this future thing is that I know that's coming. And I feel like one of my earliest memories that I do remember with this, which I don't even know why this was such a big deal for me, but pretty much, so I grew up in a small town in Montana, and actually as part of school, like in elementary school and middle school, we would get to go up skiing on certain days. There were like ski days where everyone at school would just go up to the mountain and ski for the whole day, just as like, you know, a whole, like the entire school activity day or whatever. Anyway, so I had lived in Montana like first grade, second grade, third grade, and during that time, like my dad had taught me how to ski. I was skiing pretty good. I honestly had a super fun time skiing. I loved it. It was fun. It was great. And then I moved away from Montana. I lived in Washington State for fourth grade, fifth grade, and sixth grade. And then when I was in seventh grade, I moved back to Montana, and the ski days came around when I was in seventh grade in middle school, and this fear didn't even come, I think, until I probably had the first ski day. And I went up there and realized that like, wow, all my friends literally could ski really, really good because all of them have continued skiing like throughout the last several years. And I hadn't skied since I was much younger. And that honestly like freaked me out for some reason. It brought me anxiety that like all my friends wanted to ski on these like really intensely hard like slopes, and it was like really, really, really fearful and scary for me. And I think that there was the fear of like, oh, I don't want to try and put myself in that situation where I'm like, yeah, let's do it, let me go so I can be with my friends, but then I, you know, could potentially like hurt myself. And then I think I also had the fear of like, well, if I don't go, then I'm like left out and I'm like, you know, not cool because I can't ski as good. And when you're in middle school, obviously, like you're always thinking about what everyone else thinks of you. And I think that that was like always like a fear of mine that I remembered, was when those ski days would come up, because I was just terrified to go up skiing because I just knew I couldn't do a good job and I knew that it wasn't going to be fun. But it was something that I just worked through anyway. And then I'm pretty sure the next year in 8th grade, I was like, no, I'm just gonna not go skiing at all. And I just stayed back at school. I think you could just stay if you didn't, you know, want to go. But that was one of my earliest experiences that I remember just having so much fear about the future. And in that situation, what I did is I honestly just like, I guess in that situation, I knew that it was temporary. I knew that there were only like a few more ski days. And after that, I made my own decision, like I said, to then just not go skiing again after that next year. And that turned out to be the better decision for me with that experience. So something else that I've definitely felt a lot of fear about future events coming up in general is something that you know is coming up where you have to like, in a sense, put on like a performance or like be on top of it and know what you're doing, such as a presentation for school or for work, or also interviews for a job. I think those are definitely situations, probably more so with the presentations, I feel like, where I get super, super, super nervous because I just want to obviously do a good job and perform well in front of others. And I think with those situations, when it comes to how I was handling my mindset of how I was, you know, processing those feelings of being so nervous about this upcoming presentation or this upcoming interview, was really just thinking about, like, in those situations, like, why am I doing it? Why am I doing this presentation? Why am I doing this interview? Obviously, if you're doing an interview, it's because you want a job. So that's a pretty good reason why you should be doing it. If it's a presentation, you know, it depends on what it's for. You know, if it's school and you have to be in school, then you really don't have a choice. You have to do that, right? If it's, you know, for work, that's kind of the same thing, assuming you don't, you know, want to lose your job or have any risk with that. If your manager or whoever like asks you to do a presentation, you have to do the presentation. So I think that it really comes down to thinking about, like, why are you doing what you're doing? What are the real consequences to you not doing it? So if you don't do that presentation in school, are you going to fail? Are you going to, you know, is that going to cause you to drop out of school because you don't do any of the presentations that you're supposed to do? What I realized in those situations is that looking at it as realizing it's actually a really good thing if I do it, it totally made me realize that, like, I want to do this. I want to do a good job. And I think that having that feeling of, like, imagining yourself at the end of it after you did a good job. And I think the other thing is, it was like, oh, what if I'm thinking about myself doing it and I, you know, think of myself doing it bad? Obviously, you could mess anything up at any time. I have messed up presentations before, and I honestly, like, hate that feeling. But I think at the end of the day, it's more about the realization of, like, you can't have 100% control over not messing up. Obviously, you're doing everything in your power to not mess up. And if you know for yourself that you have done everything in your power to not mess up, then if you mess up, whatever, like, you did everything you can. Literally, it couldn't be changed. So there's really no point to dwell on it or be upset about it, especially when it comes to, oh, this has already happened, it's something in the past. Really, what you have to do is obviously just reflect on that situation and think about what you can do to grow from it. Like, what can you do better so that you don't mess up next time? But also realizing that you don't need to be so hard on yourself, because everyone messes things up. No one's perfect. And especially, like, presentations in school, it's like you always have to present on stuff that you really don't care about a lot of the times. Like, sometimes if it's like a project you're really into, you know, like, that's cool and everything, but a lot of times you're like assigned things that you need to present on, that you have to like study and absorb this information, and then you have to memorize it, and then you have to recite it back in front of a whole bunch of people. And, like, that's a lot of work. It's super stressful, and it's a lot harder to talk about things, I think, in general, to an audience or to anyone, when you don't really like, you aren't that passionate about what it is that you're talking about. I think right here, it's like easy for me, I'm realizing right now, to like just keep talking, because I feel like I'm just like, you know, talking about something I care about, I'm passionate about, I have knowledge about already. It's not something, this isn't anything that I needed to like study and like write down and make sure I memorized like for this video, you know. I feel like I'm getting kind of off track, but whew, my foot's going now. But anyway, basically, yes, that is how I pretty much overcame situations that I knew were coming, that I was really, really nervous about. I had fear and anxiety about these future situations, and I was able to shift my mindset by ultimately realizing that I really want to accomplish these things. Even though I am nervous about it and I know that I have fears about messing up and, you know, it not working out the way I want to, that's that fear of the future. I know that if I do everything that I can, literally everything in my power to do a good job and be successful, if I've done that, even if I mess up, even if I fail, even if I'm not successful, I still know that I did everything that I could. It wasn't going to turn out any other way. There was no other possible solution that could have happened, that could have played out in this life. So that is what helps me find peace in particular situations like that, where I'm trying to have a more positive mindset of the future. So diving into the other topic I mentioned about a general like common popular fear or negative belief, negative mindset about the future is in general really specifically with your future as a whole. And like I said, feeling a lack or a worry that you won't live up to your full potential and that you won't be able to experience all the things that you want to in life and that you hope to someday. So this can bring itself about in a lot of different ways. I feel like one of the things that contributes to a lot of people having this like worry or fear that they won't live up to their full potential is really just this concept that we've been raised with, that we need to achieve certain things to be at a certain level or to be viewed a certain way by certain people. It's really just this concept of like, you need to go to this school, you need to get this job, you need to get these grades, you need to make this money, you need to have this family. I think that obviously society and our families tell us that we need to be doing so many things. And at the end of the day, the only thing that you need to be doing is what you want to do, what brings you joy and what fulfills you. And it's honestly way too often that unfortunately that does not align with what society or your family or anybody in your external environment may be telling you. They may be telling you that you should be doing this. Like I said, you should be going to this school, you should be getting this job. I'm sure parents probably, you know, have told, you know, some of you people out there that you should be doing this or you should be doing that. And at the end of the day, I mean, you want to obviously hope that everyone is telling you what you should be doing, coming from a place of genuinely caring about you and wanting the best for you. But at the end of the day, even if that is true, that they are coming from that place, that doesn't actually mean that they 100% understand you and understand what's best for you. So truly, you have to honestly be able to have a mindset that is capable of, you know, definitely being aware of what people are telling you, because, you know, you obviously care about, especially, you know, really just the people that you care about, the people that you love in your life, and you care about what they feel about you, and they care about you and they want you to be happy. So definitely you want to have a mindset where you aren't ignoring what other people are telling you. You're listening to it and you're processing it in a way to see what aligns with you and what might not align with you. And if something doesn't align with you, then you don't need to take it with you. And if something that your friend or family or anyone suggests to you, if it aligns with you, then yeah, you know that that is something that you can continue on. If they want to give you suggestions, you should be doing this, and you're like, yeah, you know, I really do want to do this, then you should, you know? I mean, the people closest to you are going to be the ones that are going to know you more than anyone else. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to know you more than yourself, obviously, which is like what I was kind of like just alluding to. But, you know, they definitely are going to know you more than anyone else, and you can find suggestions from friends and family about things that you should be doing in your life that you didn't even think of. but you start doing it and you're so much happier and you're so much better off because of it. So definitely you just want to be in a space where you're open to everyone's opinions, everyone's judgments, everyone's criticisms, but you're always processing them through your own perspective, your own lens, and just really just evaluating like, how do I feel about this and how do I want to take steps going forward with this or without this. So yeah, I think just in general that's a really important thing to do across the board. Yeah, I feel like I'm diving off into so many other side topics, so this is gonna be interesting to see how this goes when I start editing. Okay, so also with this you know, overarching concept of I'm worried I might not live up to my full potential. I'm worried I might not achieve everything that I want to achieve or fully be like fulfilled and happy in life. It really comes down to the question, what if? And, you know, that looks like, what if I don't do this? Or what if I only end up here? And what if there's this? And what if there's that? And honestly, literally, probably everyone has those thoughts of like, what if I didn't end up achieving this dream? What if I didn't end up even just doing this thing that I, not even a dream, but just like a basic thing that I would like to do? And honestly, at the end of the day, it's so common for these beliefs and these feelings to just crowd your head of like, what if this bad thing happens? What if this bad thing happens? But it's honestly just a feeling of feeling like you're not where you're meant to be or where you want to be yet. And the key word there is yet. We're gonna touch on that in a little bit. That's really important, the yet there. Basically, I just feel like there are a lot of different doubts that can cloud your mind in general. And really, it's important to understand where that energy comes from, because at the end of the day, the energy that is clouding your ability to look positively on your own future and what you will accomplish is ultimately coming externally. It's not coming from you. Internally, you do want to achieve those things. Internally, you do see yourself at a certain place in life or doing certain things that fulfill you. And honestly, the real key to being able to shift that mindset, you know, again, kind of tying back to what I was saying earlier, in general, is just understanding where you lie with respect to the external world and understanding how you need to be interacting with the external world, because you don't need to be matching what the external world wants. You don't need to be doing exactly what other people want you to do. You have to figure out what you want to do for yourself and how that happens to fit into the external world that you've just been dropped in. You know, obviously we do not choose our environments. You know, in the beginning when we're brought into this life, like, you do not choose what family you were brought into. You do not choose who brings you into this world. But as, you know, you get older and you become adult, everyone's experiences are definitely different. Everyone has different experience, different circumstances, but definitely to some extent as you get older is when naturally people do start to just try to find themselves and what they really want for themselves, separate from what they have grown up in and what they have been taught is the way the world is. Because at the end of the day, you grow up and you realize that everything you are taught is not actually exactly how it is. So I mentioned before to focus on that keyword yet. Definitely want to hone in on that word yet. You are not where you want to be yet, because the yet implies that you will be there. You're just not there right now in the present, and that's totally okay. At the end of the day, you know, how do you have confidence that your yet will truly be achieved? And really that just comes down to looking at your past. You know, your entire life you're always thinking about, oh, I want to do this thing, I want to be at this place, I'm not there yet. Did you eventually get to your yets? You know, if you think back several years ago where you wanted to be now, did you get there? If you didn't, you know, that's okay. But if you have, that can actually really help you build confidence for your future yets. You look back and you're like, wow, I set out to do this thing and I did it. Or maybe I did it, but in a different way that was actually better than I even thought. And honestly, the more that you're able to set out to things that you want to do and then you do them, it just builds your confidence more and more and more that you're going to be able to get all of your future yets that you're hoping for. I think that in general, people can almost downplay sometimes their achievements. You know, some people on the other end of the spectrum, you know, you have people that really like to brag about their achievements and how great they are, you know. But then there's other people that have achieved a lot and, you know, or just in general things that people think is, wow, you know, that's such a great achievement, you're so successful, you know, but they actually aren't able to view it as highly as other people. They almost think that it's not that much of achievement. And maybe that's because they're too wrapped up in thinking that they're not where they want to be yet. And honestly, the biggest realization here is that you will always be chasing your yets. Every single day of your life, you're always going to be wanting more. You're always going to be thinking about the future. You're always going to be thinking about where you see yourself, you know, next month, in a year, 5 years, 10 years, when you're on your deathbed, who's around you. Okay, that was pretty deep. But you get my point. In general, people are always thinking about that. All right. I think if you've thought about if you've achieved your previous yets and you realize that you haven't, maybe you're someone that, you know, you set out you want to do these things, but you're not actually able to achieve those things. So you don't have confidence that you're going to be able to in the future. And honestly, there's kind of two ways to go with this. You know, sometimes what you want just changes, you know? So I think you have to think back to, okay, I know I said 3 years ago that I wanted to be at this place, but over the course of that time, did you wanting to be at that place change or did it stay the same? You know, if it stayed the same and you always wanted to be at that place and then you didn't get there, that's one thing. But if it changed in the course of you trying to get there and you're like, actually, I think I want to go over here, and then you go over there, you're not at that other place because you didn't want to, right? So you're not going to be upset about not being at that place because things shifted. But on the other end of the spectrum, if you want to be at that place and you haven't been at that place, obviously it makes a lot of sense that you're not going to have that much confidence about getting to that place or any other future place you're trying to get to in the future because you haven't really even done it before. But I think in that perspective, it's okay that you haven't done what you wanted to before. It's okay if you're someone that hasn't been able to do the things that you have set out to do or have wanted to do. And the reason why it's okay is because you still have time. You still have the future to go wherever you want to go. And even if in the entire minute of your life leading up to this point, you've not accomplished, you don't feel like you accomplished anything that you wanted to, or you're just really not where you want to be, you still have the time to get there. You still have future time to act differently, to make a change. And the second that you make a change right now in the present moment to actually do something that you want to do that makes you feel like it was an achievement, as soon as you do that, that then becomes your past. And now all of a sudden, after you did that one thing, that one yet that you achieved now, that becomes your past yet. And once you build up that past yet and more yets that you've achieved, then that is going to build your confidence, like we talked about before, in feeling like you're going to achieve that future yet that you were like reaching out for. So, yeah. Back onto the concept of thinking about if you've achieved any of your past yets and realizing that you feel like you haven't. I think that another way that you could think about it is in just a more general sense of not, you know, did I accomplish this exact one specific thing, or did I do this, or did I do that, but more along the lines of thinking about the general things that people want, or that you probably just wanted in general, or wanted in the past, but want now, want always in general, right? People want to be healthy, people want to feel safe, and they want to feel fulfilled. So if you think about where you were a few years ago, do you feel more happy now than you did then? Do you feel more fulfilled now? Do you feel safer now? Do you feel healthier now? If in any of those capacities you do feel like you're at a better place now than you were a few years ago, you already have achieved a yet, and maybe you just didn't even realize it, you know, because you think that a yet needs to be these specific things that, like I said, society thinks that we need to go to the school, you know, go to have this job, have this achievement, win this award, you know, get this degree. But at the end of the day, if you feel more fulfilled by anything, you know, literally anything, if you feel healthier, if like you've taken care of yourself better physically and mentally and spiritually, maybe you feel safer, maybe you live in a safer space now than you did before. You know, those are all things that is goes along the lines of what I was talking about with achieving your prior yets, or feeling like you can achieve honestly just anything. You know, if you have been able to improve your life to any capacity in the past, you'll be able to do it in the future as much as you'll want, because you've already done it and you know how to do it again. So thinking about in general the concept of achieving things, at the end of the day, all you have to compare yourself to is yourself. It doesn't make any sense at all to compare yourself to other people, because at the end of the day, there's just too many variables. You don't actually know what someone has done to get to a certain place. You know, they might say that they have done XYZ and that got them to this place in life that you want to be, or gave them this thing that you want to have. But at the end of the day, you know, this might sound kind of like dark, but I'm just being real. Like, you can't actually trust that what someone is telling you, just in general, is true or real. But with specifically with regards to someone saying, I did this to get to this place, and you know, maybe they did, but also maybe they didn't. And so just the fact that you can't even know for sure, you shouldn't be comparing yourself to them, because any, you know, results that you're getting of, you know, analyzing, comparing yourself to someone else, the results that you get of thinking, oh, I should probably be doing this because they did this, is actually not going to apply to your life and isn't going to benefit your life, because everyone is literally so different and everyone is living dramatically different lives. You will truly never understand what someone else is going through and what they have, you know, mentally also had to go through to even get to where they are. And so seeing someone else being in another place, what you see is just one perspective. It's never, ever, ever the whole story. So truly, you can't really get so absorbed with what other people say that they're doing to get to that place and think that you need to be doing that too. Really, like I said, is you can only compare yourself to yourself. So comparing yourself to who you were in the past, again, what we were just talking about, right? Do I feel like I've improved myself? And am I becoming a better version of myself every single day? And that doesn't mean that, you know, we don't have setbacks, because obviously everybody has setbacks. Everyone has their low points. Everybody, you know, might even have experiences where they hit rock bottom. But at the end of the day, you know, it's not all those low points. It's the low points and the high points that make the whole journey a high point. So regardless if you feel like you have not improved over time, regardless if you feel like you're on your low, on your down right now, that's okay, because you always have the future. You always have time coming your way that you can utilize to change your life the way you want to. And you're the only person that can do it. Literally, no one else is going to change your life for you. Only you can take the steps to change your life in the way that you want to, because only you know what you want for yourself. All right, so kind of summarizing all that up, you know, with that being said, how do we shift our mindset to have a more positive view about the future, about our future? So, in general, focusing on our yets. Realizing that we are not where we want to be yet, meaning we will be there, we're just not there right now, and that's okay. Also, the realization that we are always chasing our yets. You will always be wanting something more, always feeling like you need to be at another place. So, you know, that's not a bad feeling to have. I feel like that's oftentimes people can feel like, oh, I feel bad because I'm not where I'm supposed to be, or I'm not, you know, at this level that I feel like I should be at, or that so-and-so thinks that I should be at. And, you know, at the end of the day, every single day, you're always going to be wanting to improve yourself. So that is never, ever, ever going to change. So it doesn't matter that, you know, you haven't achieved that yet, because you will. So another thing in general is making sure that you take the time for yourself to truly, you know, figure out what you want for you and for your life and for your future. If, you know, you're someone that doesn't, you know, take that time to really understand what you want, then you just don't really know what you want. And then the things that you do in your life aren't really doing anything to help take you anywhere you want. And again, I feel like this is another thing that's like, oh, it's easier said than done, because, you know, you could be watching this right now and be like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, you know? And at the end of the day, that's why I'm just saying, if you don't know what you want, that's fine. Take the time to try to think about it. You know, you can, you know, just live your whole life feeling, oh, I don't know what I want to do. But if you're not trying new things, if you're not sitting down and trying to think about yourself and think about what you want and think about the things that make you happy and how you can incorporate that more into your life, then you're not really going to have a real direction of where you should be putting your energy towards. Because at the end of the day, like where you want your life to be, that idea comes from you. It comes from within your mind. And you have to really, really give those ideas, those concepts, those thoughts, the attention and the time that they need to be fully processed so that they can be fully realized in the real world. Because the only way that things happen in the world around you, the way you want them to happen, is by you putting that energy out into the universe, and the universe can then interpret it, understand what you want, and then you'll start to notice that things in your life will be changing to align more to what you want, because you've been more outward about it, you've been more vocal about it, you've been putting your energy towards it. And it honestly just makes sense. You know, if you have this idea of like, oh, I really want to start doing this thing, and then you start talking about it with your friends, you know, maybe you want to start, I don't know, selling something, you know, like online or whatever, and you start talking about it with your friends as if it's something that you're excited to do, you know, then like someone else might be mentioning it, you know, your friend might be mentioning it to someone else, and then they mention it to someone else, and then, you know, all of a sudden word starts to spread, and then your business is like blowing up, you know, because you were putting that energy out there. And it doesn't even have to be like a business or anything. It could be, you know, like anything else that you want to do, you know, like you want to start taking hikes, you want to start taking more hikes. If you start talking about things, you know, it becomes more of a reality, and then you're more likely to end up doing it. Also, subtle accountability. If you just are telling the people in your life, the people around you, oh yeah, I want to try this thing, or I want to do this thing, they're, in a sense, they can kind of hold you accountable for it, you know? So like you said you wanted to do it, if you end up not doing it, they can ask you like, oh, like why, you know, why weren't you doing it? And then maybe that'll make you think, oh, well, why wasn't I doing it? I did say I wanted to do it. And maybe that can also make you think on like, what are you saying that you want to do? Are you saying you want to do all these things willy-nilly and they're not really fully something that you want to do, but you're just saying it? Or is it something you really want to do? And then thinking back about, maybe you do want to be a little bit careful about what you're saying, because now other people are thinking like, oh, you want to do this thing, how come you're not doing this thing, you know? All right. Also, with regards to how do we shift our mindset to think more positively about the future, obviously there could be events coming up in your life that bring you fear, that bring you anxiety, make you nervous that they're going to happen. So really you want to just think about, why are they happening, and do I have control over this situation? And, you know, if you do have control over the situation, then take control, right? Do what you want to do to, you know, make the situation more positive, because you have the control to do so, right? But oftentimes, you know, we don't have control, and that's more so where the fear and anxiety can come from, is knowing that something's happening that we don't have control over. And if ultimately you know that it's just going to happen regardless, then the fact that you can come to the realization of understanding that you have to let go of the things that you can't control in life, you will look at yourself with so much beauty of, wow, look at how strong I am, that I'm able to let go of this fear, let go of this anxiety, and let go of this negative energy, because I have evaluated the situation fully, I've processed my feelings fully, and I know that there's nothing I can do about it. It's not my fault. I didn't want it this way, but here we are, you know? And at the end of the day, just because things aren't the way you want them to and you can't control them, doesn't mean that you have to let that affect you negatively. At the end of the day, again, so much easier said than done, but you do have control over your mindset. You can try to think differently about things, try to see things from different perspectives, and ultimately just try to have an open heart in general and an open mind. And honestly, that will help bring you just more to a place of just feeling better, feeling happier, feeling more fulfilled, because you're finding the beauty that you have in your strength of, like I said, letting go of the things that you know you can't control, because there's no need for you to be holding on to that fear, holding on to that worry that honestly is truly not meant for you. So ultimately, with regards to the fear of, you know, feeling like you're not going to live up to your full potential, at the end of the day, this really just comes down to, do you trust yourself and do you trust the universe? because if you don't trust yourself, the universe isn't going to trust you. And also, if you don't trust yourself, then you're not going to be able to achieve anything that you want to achieve. It doesn't even matter if other people believe in you or not, because if you don't believe in yourself, then nothing's going to happen, because you're the only person that truly, truly knows where you're meant to be and where you want to go. No one else is going to be able to tell that for you, because they don't feel what's in your heart and they don't know what's in your mind. And so if you're not guiding yourself towards your goals and your dreams, literally no one else will be able to guide you, including the universe. You have to start guiding for yourself and trusting yourself with where you want to go in life, and then the universe will align itself to you and to what you want. Another thing too, if you don't trust yourself, then you don't actually believe that you're capable to achieve these things. And if you don't believe that you can do them, you're not going to do them. Even if you're putting in the effort to do them, if the effort of why you're putting it in is not genuine, because you don't actually believe that you can do it, is not gonna result in genuine results that you want. Once you do get to a place of being able to fully trust yourself, that is honestly the best feeling that I think anyone can really have, because at the end of the day, you know, you can have trust for other people, but you can't actually truly trust someone else as much as you trust yourself, because at the end of the day, you might have a really good idea of other people's, intentions, but you'll never actually truly know who someone else really is and their real true intentions. But you do know yourself, and you do know your own true intentions, and you can find a lot of comfort in knowing that you can trust yourself to be there for yourself and take care of yourself, and just give yourself everything that you need to reach that place of feeling, fulfilled and feeling like happy, and just feeling like you're on the right path in general, and that you're just, enjoying life and having like a positive mindset on things, as you should, as we all deserve. If you are someone that is giving respect to others, if you are showing love to others, if you are showing empathy to others, then you are someone who deserves all those things in return, and you deserve to live a, happy life that is unique to you and what you want. And that is 100% despite what anybody else in the world thinks that you should be doing or what they want for you. You're just going to be happier if you're doing you, period. Alright, so that concludes the video for today. I really do hope that anything at all that I said here could have possibly, connected with you, felt relatable, resonated in any single way. I really honestly just hope that me, talking about what I talked about right now could just bring any type of, light or joy or positivity into anybody else's life. And I ultimately want to help someone think differently about the future in a more positive way than they maybe have been in the past. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you like this video, definitely go ahead and like and subscribe, and there might be more to come. Also, if you're watching this, I hope that you have an amazing day today, and I hope that you have an amazing week filled with just love and joy and doing what makes you, you. So yeah, thank you. Bye.